You're all putting in the work, and I'm really happy about that. Okay? Just keep showing up. Keep coming to meetings. That's how this thing works. Okay? Okay, and I see we have a new person at our meeting. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Actually, I have an activity we can all do together. We should go to Plastic City Comic-Con. There's just so much to do there. There's comic books, toys, games, anything you can ask for.
Wait, do you work for Plastic City Comic-Con?
Me? Work for Plastic City Comic-Con?
But we're all going to Plastic City Comic-Con, right? I thought so. Now, who here owes me money?
PlasticCityComicCon.com for info and tickets.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Indie Comics Relay. I'm your host, Keith Gleason, creator of the Mighty Mascots and promoter for the Plastic City Comic-Con. With me, as always, Johnny C., creator of Sartana, Surrounded by Death, and The Pond for Roger Morocco, and Harry G., graphic artist extraordinaire.
Happy New Year,
guys. Happy New
New
Year.
Year, guys.
Yeah, did it feel like forever since the last broadcast to you guys?
A little bit. It did
A little bit. Yeah, it felt like a while, right? Like a month had gone by or something, you know?
I have to say, it felt nice to have the downtime.
It did.
Especially because I had caught up with a lot of my outstanding writing projects that I had at the moment. So to just have like a few weeks of just like not having pressing matters. I mean, still having a lot of stuff I have to do, but things that weren't pressing, it was like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah. I was going to say, Johnny, I played the trailer for Sartana. Now, that artist, was that the guy that worked with Baron on the Thin Blue Line?
Yes. So that's Joe Arnold. Yep. Who illustrated Sartana.
Did you see that book is being published by somebody?
I saw that in the email that you had sent when I just clicked on the link to come into the show. So yeah. I saw that he got picked up by it was Antarctic Press, right?
Yeah, that's where. I was trying to remember where it's getting published, but I was like, yeah, that's cool. You know,
that's really cool. Yeah. I have more Sartana I want to do, and I have stuff that's almost ready to go. So as long as Joe's available to do it, we'll probably have some more in the near future. Yeah, I want to just
grab him now while he's hot. You know?
I know, but I want to tell like a New Year's resolution. I don't want to make a product that just for the sake of making a product. I want every piece of work that I make to be special to me, as well as to the work that's put into it. Kind of like getting a tattoo. You're not, it's there for life, right?
Right.
So whatever I want to do, I want to make sure I do it carefully with tact, and done completely.
Your heart's in it.
My heart's completely in it, and it's unfocused and uninhibited.
I like that, dude. Yeah. So I mean, so it's a new year. So what do you think you're gonna get put together this year? You think?
So I'm going to focus on Sartana. I've got the Surrounded by Death spinoff to do, and I think those are my two priorities at the moment.
So you think you get 2 books out this year?
Yep. And then on the back burner somewhere, there is my Molasses project I've talked about in the past. Some people know about it, some people don't. And then the other one is Clark and 5, which my heart's still in.
Oh, nice. But, so you're going to actually... You're actually going to try to get that one out this year too?
Not this year, but like it's on the back burner. Yeah. If anything, after I get through the other 2, those will be one of the next 2 that I start to move on to, I think.
Gotcha. That's so like my back burner. Like I have like the rest of Kid Switch to get done.
Oh, and Kid Switch is one of actually my favorite books of yours, Keith. So I'd love to see more Kid Switch.
Oh, I know. And you know what's funny? Like, I wish I had finished it years ago, because now like multiverses are all the rage.
I know.
And like I kind of had that book going before multiverses became like a thing, you know? So yeah, I'm hoping I want to get back to that, definitely. And then, I mean, for me, my goals this year is to get the next issue of Mighty Mascots and possibly the first issue of my I've been calling it social justice, but I don't think that's going to be the final title. It's too what's the word I'm looking for? It's too like controversial, I think, if I use that title.
2021.
Yeah, kind of is. And like I don't want
2024.
that and I don't want people being focused on the title. You know what I mean? Like I want people to read the book for the content. So but that's another one that's been burning, a place in my brain trying to get out. So I want to get that done too. So we'll see. I got a bunch of stuff I got to get done this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always one where you have big aspirations, and then you kind of just hope for the best by the end of it. Like, if I at least got something done. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I can't tackle everything,
like
but at least a little something done that works.
Yeah.
The other thing is
No, do
Sorry,
you guys have
Harry.
you have like an outline in your heads of how you want the year to go, or just?
I don't normally I kind of just there's certain things I want to get done and I just kind of work at it,
Whatever
but
happens,
I never
happens.
put I don't do like a 5-year plan. I don't do vision boards, all that crap. I just
Worst question ever.
I'm constantly working at stuff,
Where do you
so
see
I
yourself
look at
in
it
5
that way.
years? Worst question ever.
Oh, God.
Hopefully the comic industry's still around in those 5
Yeah,
years.
that's a good answer.
Or at
There's
least
always a
transformed
doom
in a
and
way
gloom.
where it's still like what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The only difference for me this year is that a lot of my travel expense and convention tables are already paid up.
Oh, that's nice.
So I'm going into this year kind of one step ahead, where I can put the funds normally where I'd be putting towards traveling and doing things. I can put that more towards production. So I can really count this to be a production year, even though I do have a lot of big travel plans in the near future.
Yeah, I haven't barely figured out con schedule this year, but I'm probably going to hit the normal ones that I always do. I'd love to, one of these years I got a plan. I'd love to do one seriously over in Europe, and the
Thought bubble. We should look at that for this following year.
Yeah, wouldn't that be cool if we could all go? Me,
We're in
you,
Europe.
Amy, any other creators that would be interested?
It's in
What'd you say, Harry?
UK.
No,
UK.
we're in UK. Yeah, let's go. I'll go.
Yeah,
You wanna
should
go?
all That'd be awesome.
I want to see meet Bob, Tom Baker before he croaks. I mean,
Well, what
he's like 90 years old.
If we did Thought Bubble, I'd like to go out there for at least a week.
No, yeah, well, because you'd want to see the other stuff too. Right?
Yeah, I'd like to hang out. I'd like to see if I could find John Constantine in a pub somewhere.
You guys know that's my middle name, but spelled with a K.
What's that?
Constantine? Is it really?
Yeah, it really is. But spelled with a K though.
What a fun fact.
Well, I remember when Alan Moore created him, he said something like he had seen that guy in like a bar in like somewhere. UK, and then he turned around and the guy was gone. So it was like it's like this like mystery,
Yeah.
And he sort of based him on Sting, and all that stuff.
He was pretty cool as Constantine.
Who was?
No, that a TV Constantine.
Oh yeah, the TV show was great with Matt. Was it Matt Smith? No. Matt something.
He was British, yeah, but I'm not sure what his name was.
I know it was Matt.
Screw the Keanu Reeves movie. That's not.
Yeah, I wasn't. I
forget his name.
That was cool, but it wasn't Constantine. Like it was. I liked it for different reason, but it was not John Constantine. It was like a bastardized version of it. The show was more what Constantine is,
Right, even though it was a little bit watered down or homogenized.
But it was a little bit, but at least they pulled the stories from the early years of Hellblazer, which I appreciated, so
better stories.
Are you going to get
that show lasted? But
I was going to say one more thing to say about shows and getting shows booked this year. As of today, I can officially announce that our triple booth setup for Terrificon finally has the 4 creators that are going to be in it. It's going to be myself, Brian Lafferty, my good friend Brian, Jared Brown from Darkstream Studios, and who just chimed in the chat, Jay Moores. So you can find all 4 of us at our booth. We're calling it Espresso Presto Plaza, and that's going to be on the floor at Terrificon this year in August.
So you guys got like what was it? One of those 10 by 10s or something?
We have 3 10 by 10s side by side. And we're dividing it by 4. So that's going to give everybody just enough space, but also to work together. And
are you guys against the wall?
Yes.
Oh,
but
okay.
the opposite side. So we're against the wall. We know where we normally were. We're on the opposite side now, but we're gonna have the 3 booth space,
Ah.
and hopefully it's gonna be something where everybody can work independently, but also visually look cohesive.
I saw they
Wow, wow.
signed Jim Lee to that.
Yeah, I
already.
saw Jim
Yep.
Lee's going. Now
That's
it's
pretty
making
cool.
me think like, maybe I should be
Yeah.
at this one.
I was
Although,
I was psyched too because the latest AEW champion was announced literally the other day.
okay.
Right after he won the belt, the first thing Mitch did was went to Terrificon's Facebook page and announced him as a guest. And I was
Which
like, "Oh,
which
that's
guy is this?
awesome!" His
Which
name
guy?
is Samoa Joe.
Oh, okay.
He actually was in the Twisted Metal TV series as Sweet Tooth recently.
Oh, okay.
Every time I
That's
hear
a good guy.
AEW, I think of root beer. I don't know.
Yeah.
So do I actually.
Yeah, so I might go to that. I don't know because like it's back to back with Wicked, right? Like Wicked's the week
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, they're
So
all
we'll
back
see.
to
We'll
back
see how I'm feeling. Like I said, I wanted to stay away from 3-day shows just because of Friday's always such a waste of time, you know.
Pop
So
in. Just come pop in.
yeah, I might do that, or I don't know. We'll see. I'll put the schedule together soon, and maybe we can cross paths, Johnny. And then
Yeah.
I'd say 2025. Maybe let's think about Thought Bubble.
I'm down. I'm 2024. Let's do it this year.
You want to do it this year? All
Why not?
right,
Let's
let me
look at it.
think. All right, let's look at it, and we'll see what we do. Because I do have my what is it, passport that I got a couple of years ago
I got to
for our
upgrade
cruise.
mine. Yeah, I
You
gotta
have
update
yours?
mine. I got to update mine.
Oh, you
Yeah,
have
me
to
too,
update yours.
actually.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know what flights look like, but I'm sure this would be like a half vacation, half convention.
Yeah, well, my buddy Jeff Ryder did it this past year, so I can pick his brain on it too. See what
Oh,
he
that'd be
did.
good. Yeah,
We'll see
just to
what he says
find
about
out
it.
like stuff that we need to. Yeah, the one thing I'm always worried about is like conversions with money and things like that. But I
Mhm.
figure we could figure all that out.
Sometimes it's just better to go as an attendee and scope out the scene and then
And
do
then
it
do it.
again as a vendor. Yeah.
I figured like, how often are we gonna actually get out there though? So like if we do, we should probably.
Where there's
go
a will, there's a way, Keith.
That's true. That's true.
Speaking of
But
Comic
yeah, I
Con,
would love to just go out there and just see another country. I think that'd be
Sure.
awesome.
What were you saying?
I did a layover in England once, so it wasn't enough. But no.
Huh.
Speaking of Comic Cons, are you gonna mention yours? What's going on with that? Or
Oh yeah,
again?
I should talk about that a little bit. Yeah, Plastic City. We finally, like with the snow day yesterday, I was able to get a bunch done, like a bunch of graphics done and things like that. So yeah, we're on for the July 20th. I know, Johnny, that's a date you can't do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally the day I leave for San Diego is the 20th.
Well, we're
heartbroken.
opposite of Kineticon, but like that show's we've been opposite them a couple times and it hasn't really made a difference in our numbers or anything. So
Yeah.
but yeah, we booked it at the Hilton Doubletree this year, so that's good. We got that going, and yeah, hopefully it works out well. Like we'll see see how this year goes.
What's the setup? Is it a big auditorium or like a hallway?
So they have like they have a big function room,
Oh,
like
okay.
where you like a wedding reception or something, and then they
Yeah.
have a couple smaller rooms where we can actually do some panels this year and things like that. So we'll have to figure all that out as it gets closer. But
I was just getting some Boxborough Hotel flashbacks and
yeah,
or the other place, that weird basement room with the dark hallways, that we're talking
oh
about
yeah,
before.
yeah.
With
Yes,
the
we'll see how it goes. Like I hated to leave Game On, but you guys all know like the whole parking thing. Like, and we've always done a show about making sure people get a nice experience for a low price, and
Fun fact, I don't know if you were aware of this, Keith, but someone told me recently over the weekend, actually Saturday, that the facility Game On is for sale.
Oh, really? No kidding. Yeah. Well, it doesn't surprise me that they nickel and dime everything, because they're probably up to their neck in debt and stuff.
Maybe. I heard it's a
So-
very expensive facility to build.
Mhm.
It's brand new. That's already
Yeah,
off
and
the
now they're
sale,
trying to
so.
sell it.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't
like
know.
that's the other thing about it. I like the facility, but it's out in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly.
So, like,
I
good
mean,
luck.
it's like-
What's that, Harry?
Exactly. He was like, isn't it near that Great Wolf Lodge or something? Isn't it near
Yeah,
there?
it's right near there.
Yeah, right.
Well, the good thing about the Hilton DoubleTree, it's in the middle of like Leominster, so it's like right off the highway. There's so much going on in that area. There's Friendlies. There's like Plaza across the way. BJ's is down the street.
Mhm.
So I figure even on the day of the show, we'd put a big sign at the end of the road, and you probably get people just driving by, and they'll come right to the show. So I feel like it'll be a better fit for us. I just hope, my worry is with a hotel, if we do well with numbers, like all of a sudden they're going to be like, oh, next year, like you see the dollar signs lighting up above their head, and
they raise the price just a little bit every year until they price you out.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then they just run the event themselves after they figure out how to do it.
Yep. That's what happened to Emily.
Not that I've seen that happen or anything.
I hope not. I mean, I hope people aren't greedy, but you never know.
Yeah.
And like, it happened to Emily. So, with Kids
Oh,
Con,
did it?
so, yeah. They priced her out of, we used to run the Kids Con up in Nashua at the Castle Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they priced her out of it because they wanted more money and
Wow.
things like that. So, but she was there for like 3 or 4 years before they started pulling that crap, so
I wonder if they tried to do their own version of what she used to do.
maybe.
You know what I
Yeah. And Amy
So-
put this in the chat that the vendor application should be up tomorrow. I'm hoping. I just putting some tweaks on it, I did change the prices a little bit this year, because one of the bonus things about doing a hotel is they have all the tables and chairs. So I think when they set up the map, they're just going to put all these tables and chairs out. So I took away the option for people to bring their own tables and chairs and just did one price, but I didn't go too crazy. I think I did. Normally I charge 75 without a table and chairs, and I just did a bulk price of like 95, which I don't think people will be that crazy about. And then I'm going to do vendors a little higher than that, because I feel vendors should pay a little more because they sell a lot more than an Artist Alley person, so
Sure.
yeah, so that's my thought. And I think it's still like low price, which is nice, so. But yeah, we got a full house tonight in the chat, which is great. We got Scary Good. It was joining us. Of course, my wife.
Hey, Amy.
Creators Outlets with us. Hail nerds. Hey,
Nerds.
creators. Thanks for joining us. Scary Good again. Jay Moore's in the chat.
Like I said, Jay Moore's commented. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And then what is it? Amy asked if your story related to the Great Molasses Flood.
Yes. It's just I don't have all the details hammered out yet of how I'm going to tell the story.
Learned it.
That's the intention.
That was on the what do you call that show that Dan Aykroyd hosts now? That
Oh, okay.
you just covered that story actually.
Oh,
Involved
was
with
it really?
Yeah, right. It was.
Amy, Johnny, you have to watch that just to see.
Yeah.
I've already done my research. I'd like to actually go down to Boston Public Library and get the actual news printings from the time. I'd like to stay factually accurate, but I just don't know if I'm going to keep it 100% accurate, like if it's going to be fiction or nonfiction yet. So we'll see.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll look forward to seeing that. And then Amy, of course, put the website for Plastic City Comic Con. Should be active tomorrow. I'm probably going to try to get that done so people can start signing up, which would be great. And then Jabo said, can't wait for the show this year. Thanks.
Can't
man.
wait to see you there, my man.
Yeah, good to see you here too, Jabo. But yeah, so without further ado, we should probably bring in on tonight's guest.
We actually went on a little too long, so we did a little apologize. We're so damn long-winded. God damn it!
Wake him up. Sorry.
It's a two week break,
I know.
So Ben Toz is our guest tonight. He reached out to me. I don't know if I told you guys this. There's a YouTube channel called Lunch Money Comics that featured. They went to the Athol Comic Fest, and they did a video there. And the guy talked me up and mentioned the Indie Comics Relay channel, and we got a bunch of subs from that, which was awesome.
Oh, cool.
But Ben, I guess, was a subscriber to that channel, and then saw saw our channel and subscribed to us, and then he's a creator too, which is awesome, and reached out.
We
to
call
be on
that
the show.
organic growth.
Exactly. So
Like that.
and he seems like a cool dude. Seems like he's got a cool comic. So
Can't wait to find out more about him.
Yeah, absolutely. So without further ado, let's bring in tonight's guest, Mr. Ben Toz. Hey,
There he
Ben.
is.
Thank you for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Uh-oh.
Can you
Can
hear
you hear
us?
us?
Hello, Ben.
Oh, we waited too long.
No. After all that build-up, can you hear? No,
We can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
And you can't hear us, right?
No. Maybe go back out and come back in, Ben.
Ben, if you could dip out, dip back in. First, I'd like to say how much Ben looks like Peter Parker. Like
he does.
My thought of like what Peter Parker would look like, what Spider-Man would look like in real life, Ben looks like that.
Yeah, if you
Maybe
put
With
some
a red
glasses
shirt
on.
underneath, I just expect to see a little spider emblem right here.
Maybe a
Well,
young John Ritter,
He's
actually,
got,
too.
He's got the name Ben, so Ben Parker,
Right.
So
right?
Yep.
You know, he might be a Spider-Man. That's I'm willing
Amy
to bet.
said if anyone knows sign language, speak up.
Where
now.
is my buddy John Collins when you need him? 'Cause he can bust out the sign language really well. He's such like that dude is so good. He can bust out sign language like that. Just he knows it down cold.
Oh, nice.
Love it.
So
Love that
he's
can
in
do
the
that.
green room. Let's try this again. So without
Try this
further
one more
ado,
time. Yep.
let's welcome Ben Toz to the show.
Hey,
Ben.
there he is.
Third time's the charm. This is
Yeah,
our
there
third
we go.
technology.
We got it.
Awesome, man. Thanks,
Guys,
thanks
can
for
you hear me
coming
okay?
on, man.
It's my pleasure to be here. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yeah,
Gotcha. Can
yeah,
hear
we
you,
can
yeah.
hear you well.
Thank
How's
you
it
guys
going,
so
man?
much. It's joyful and triumphant. How are you guys doing tonight?
That's awesome.
Ben, can you just confirm that you're not Spider-Man?
I will not.
Johnny says you look like a young Peter Parker, and I think that's a nice compliment.
Which one?
Oh,
Not
Well,
Garfield, because he
which-
had a very
which
long
one
neck.
was we talking
Remove
about here?
all current live action Spider-Man and going off of the comic book and the cartoon. If I were to say, well, what would Peter Parker look like in live action? Ben, you look like Peter Parker.
I take that as a very humble, wonderful compliment. Thank you very much.
I'm going to say if all the Spider-Man mated, maybe you'd be the product of it. Like you're like a combination of all of them.
Because I tried to model my style after Malcolm Reynolds in Firefly. Said,
Oh, okay.
I can see the hairstyle.
huge Nathan Fillion fan. That's kind
I
of
can
where
see
it's
that.
coming
I can
from.
see that.
That's
So
great.
it's my first time being on a web show. Guys, you're in charge. What can I do for you? How can I be a good guest? Where do you need me?
Yeah, Ben. So we always like with new guests, we have a question that we always throw out there, and it's almost like an origin question. It's sort of like, so with creators, we love to know how they got on the path to becoming a creator. Like, was there like a comic book or a cartoon that you saw or read that like blew your mind and be like, I got to do this. I got to make comics. Like, is there something you can think back to?
Oh, Keith, I mean, that's an amazing question. For me, that question is, there's a lot of answers, unfortunately, because Freedom Edge, my comic, kind of started and then misfired a few times.
Okay.
So I'm going to try to really be brief and not take up your viewers' time. It all started with I've always been a drawer, and I've always loved drawing. And in
Okay.
my senior year, I did an independent study in high school. And my independent study was to draw a comic that would get me famous.
Now, were you aware of comics before that, or like, were you a reader or anything like that? Or
Oh, the comics that I did read, you guys probably are not fans of. Have you ever heard of Larry Hama's Nth Man?
yeah, I've heard of that.
Okay, my all-time epic,
The Ultimate Ninja, wasn't it?
the ultimate ninja that kind of transferred into this dystopian, Mad Maxian, apocalyptic universe in
Yep.
16 issues.
I
It is.
remember that.
It is the framework of like my favorite writing, because in 16 issues it went from, Russia versus America, World War III, kind of on the brink, to Galactus, Silver Surfer,
That's
Ultimate
crazy.
Ninja, Mad Maxian dystopian, and then they brought in elements now that we have like of the Matrix, Looper,
Oh yeah.
they brought in so many amazing pieces into that writing, and it just swept me away.
There's
Yeah,
an
that was
element
also-
of
I
Go
fucking
ahead.
love Looper.
And
Looper.
I fucking love Looper. I stand by Looper being the best approximation of a live action Akira to date.
I have Akira also sitting right over there. That was
No
another
way. I love it.
Kira's the best.
Oh,
I have
so good.
Kaneda's motorcycle, and I have Kaneda, the McFarlane toys in package right behind me. that my wife-
awesome. Oh, actually, I can see him, I think. Yeah. Nice.
That's great.
Wow,
yeah.
word. And you got
Did
Optimus.
you guys ever read the whole run of Akira when it was out in those thick books that they put out?
Yeah, they're right down there.
Yeah, that's so good.
Oh,
like
I'm
I
envious
can
of-
pull
I'm
that out
envious of your
immediately.
shelf. You've got a good shelf. I like the
You wanna
fact
see
that
the
I've got a
shelf?
decent shelf, but
All right, we're gonna go for a ride.
yeah.
We're not gonna lose you, are we?
No.
All right.
All right.
Oh, Rodimus, look at that.
Rodimus Clinton
There's
Prime.
Akira, but, yeah.
Oh,
Or the bike, yeah. And there's
Oh yeah,
Kaneda.
yep. Transformers fan.
Oh, big Transformers fan as well. That's awesome.
All right, so up here.
Oh wow, Johnny
Oh,
Quest,
wow.
Airboy. He's got some good stuff.
And again, I don't even like comics.
Really?
I don't believe you.
Guys, I'm dead serious. I only got into comics in the past year.
Oh really? No kidding.
I'm not.
You've got
I'm
some
not
good
giving up.
keys up there
some
though.
Great
Really?
issues in there, yeah.
Yeah, some good
See,
ones.
I really wouldn't know. Oh, I've got my Voltron over here next to my
Oh,
dial.
nice.
Defender of the Universe.
And down here is all of my manga.
Oh, look at
Nice.
that. Okay.
Neon Genesis.
Transformers,
Gunsmith
Battle
Cat.
Royale.
Battle
that's a good-
Royale is the only manga I've ever read.
Akira. Yeah, those,
Akira.
those 6 volumes are amazing.
Yeah. And so when I was younger, I saw the movie Akira. I had no idea that there was actually a comic book until maybe like 7 years ago.
Oh wow.
Um,
And like the movie only does like I'd say 1/10 of that storyline too.
of the Justice, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But when I was younger, Nth Man was like my framework for an amazing story. I was big into movies, not comic books.
Yeah.
But my friend used to drag me to the comic book stores all the time. And then one day, and he was searching for Superman, Spider-Man, Deadpool, like this is back in the mid 80s. And then I came across Ranma Half, which is a manga.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Big, huge eyes, exaggerated faces, and it swept me away. Because I always felt like things from like DC and Marvel, they're very static faces. They're not dynamic. And I really like acting. I like emotion. I'm a therapist. I'm a counselor. So I'm
Yeah.
all about where does the character feel? And Western comics never really did that for me. So it wasn't until I was introduced to Japanese comics that I said, I want to write my own story.
Oh
And
wow.
then-
Okay.
When I was in high school, I almost got expelled for it. It got confiscated. The psychologists were called and doctors were called. And it was this huge debacle in the school system. Long story short, I didn't get expelled because the superintendent said, what was your ambition here? What were you trying to do? I said, I was trying to do what I said I wanted to get famous for making a comic. Everybody in school is talking about my expulsion right now.
Right. Yeah. So
I like that.
You got a little bit
I
of
like
fame
that.
from that notoriety, you know?
Do you mind me asking what was the book? What did
it
you
was
do?
Freedom Edge. It was a 10
Oh,
page.
okay.
It was a 10 page. It was done in a just hashing with pen and ink. It was a guy on a motorcycle trying to save the government from tyranny. And so it was a 10 page thing. And back in what was this 1997. This is right before Columbine, but tensions were still really high. Is this kid thinking he's going to? I have an image where I'm taking down the president pretty graphically in that picture. And I replicated the picture for the novel. What I did back in the 90s, I redid again and put it in graphic novel form.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Kind of as like sorry, F you. Like,
Yeah.
So the superintendent says to the administration at the time, you guys are imbeciles. You made him famous. If only you just didn't talk about it, nobody would care.
Right.
But now
I feel like that
everybody wants
happens
his comic.
everywhere, you know?
Oh, parents are talking. Is my child safe with this kid in school? Only the superintendent knew what I was up to or figured it out. And he said, Ben, would you please go back to class? But that was
Great.
that was the brainchild behind Freedom Edge. A guy on a motorcycle, lone gunman, just sees an injustice, doesn't want to be there. Kind of like a Han Solo character, kind of like this transporter criminal. And like, wait a minute, I'm in the middle of a revolution. Oh, get me out of here. No.
I'm kind of picturing the beginning of one of the Star Trek movies, like the newer ones, with what's his name? Like the newer Star Trek movies.
What's
the name
Chris
of it?
Pine?
Yeah, right. Chris Pine, when he's like riding his like a bike and the cops are after him, you know, and you're like,
Like he's
description
being
of
like an outlaw, kind of.
yeah, it's being chased and like it kind of reminds me of your description.
So I was thinking a little bit like Snake Plissken, kind of, you know.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
That kind of vibe.
Snake Plissken is a one-man army, right? He's going to go into a war zone and win. He is Rambo.
He's gonna look cool doing it. Yeah.
My guy's an imbecile and kind of a schmuck.
Oh, okay. That changes everything.
He's really clumsy. Now, Harry, you said that you read a little bit of the comic.
I did actually. Yeah, I read the whole thing.
So you read the prologue, where
Right.
in the first prologue he's running from the police, right?
That's kind of what
Just
reminded me of that opening. If I only remember that name of the movie, but
you must have read you read the parts where the police are saying, "Oh my God, this guy's amazing at driving." And then it cuts to my character saying, "Why isn't my GPS working? Where the hell am I going?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right.
He's always on the edge of failure.
And he gets recruited by the mob to be their driver or whatever, what have you.
Yeah, so
I did my homework.
You that's in book 2, where I went back to do the origin. Yeah. And Harry, I do have to say this before we go any further. So thank you so much for reading my book online.
Oh no, it was actually very. I was telling Keith before. It was very, very detailed. It was a good story. It wasn't. It took some time to read because I was trying to like internalize everything. Because it was like I forget how many 18 or is it books or I forget how many chapters or whatever.
Yeah, so it's 13 chapters.
13. Okay.
Yeah,
does it end or do you leave it open to do more after the 13th chapter?
It's kind of open ended at the end, isn't it? Kind of. I mean, I'm not gonna ruin it for anybody that wants to.
Well, no. You better let me finish because unfortunately you haven't read the whole thing.
Okay.
So when we did the website, I hired a few friends that were really good at graphic design. I eventually took it all back, learned it on my own, and did it again. But I kind of hired them to color everything in for me because it was just a lot of work and I was tired. When I did that, I got a little ambitious, and then I started doing. So Harry, you ended off in this page, right?
Right. Yep.
Okay. So now you missed all of this.
Okay.
Oh, look at that.
So,
wow.
So there's 2 other epilogues in one final reveal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting.
Which really ties. So it took me another 3 months to do the other editions, but it wraps up the entire book in a way that I am just completely satisfied with.
Oh, cool. I want to see how.
Cool.
It's like there should never be another Breakfast Club. He's just like, no, we're going to stop there.
Yep.
It does an origin story to the Mary Beth character. It does an origin story to the Cinder and Simon Bridge character. And I don't want to reveal the last epilogue, which I really, to me, it's my masterpiece. I don't really know if anybody else is going to like it, but Freedom Edge was a story I wanted to write.
To tell, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm embarrassed to say that it all started with a bet.
A bet?
It all started with what?
A stupid bet.
A bet, really?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever made a comic over a bet, which is
I gotta
I'm
hear
curious
this.
to hear this.
I used to do community theater with my best friend Phil. I wish I had a picture of him around right now because, like, he was my best friend. We're talking like second grade. So,
Okay.
like, I think I have this great picture where I'm carrying him like a princess or something. We've been best friends for 30 years, and he's completely opposite of me, but he's also one of the most amazing and humble, down to earth and honest people I've ever met in my life. And I was telling him about this new idea, like, oh, Phil, remember that comic that I made in high school? Man, one day I want to make that into a real comic and publish it. And he's just like, no, you're not. Like, Ben, you've been talking about making a comic for like 10 years. I'm done. Like, you're never going to do it. And I said, shit. He was completely right. And so we made a bet that I would do 50 pages written, published in a year.
Okay.
And we were betting my vintage 1983 Mattel Voltron full statue.
Oh, okay.
I had it from when I was a kid. And he always wanted it, always coveted it. And I said, we'll bet Voltron. If I don't do it, then Voltron is yours. And we shook on it. And I did 50 pages in a month. 50 pages inked, written. And then I wrote, and Harry, you read all up until you read the book.
Yeah.
I wrote book 1 in 2 months.
That's pretty amazing because it's very involved. Because it's not like a few words per panel or whatever. It's like paragraphs. It's like very well written though. I thought it was.
Thank you very
Was
much.
it something in your head all along, Ben, that you had like the whole idea ready, but you just didn't have the motivation to make it? Is that what
Honestly,
it was?
no, Keith. I always loved drawing, but it was always participatory with other people. I love teaching drawing. I love showing. I'm a child therapist, so I love showing people how to do things. And then when it came to my spare time, I always liked being around people.
Gotcha.
But I talked to my best friend Phil more about it, and I said, in 10 years, I don't want to be talking about making my comic someday. I want it to be on my shelf and done. So I'd always, and he was the one that really made me realize I was going to be talking about it forever. But
I always say that too, Ben, and I'm kind of happy that you went the other way, because like I mean, Johnny, I'm sure has seen this too at conventions. You get tons of people that come up to you and say, oh, I have this idea. And as they leave the table, I'm like, that guy's never going to make that comic. And like, but I'm glad, like, you were put in that situation, but you went the other way. You actually stepped up and made it. Which
Sometimes
amazing.
you need that guy to like fire up, to let a fire on.
Yeah,
you,
no,
you
it's
know?
true.
Right.
It's like sometimes like, well, because like I understand too what you're saying, Ben. Like when you draw and write your own comic, it's very personal, and there's like, it's not like a group thing. Like you got to sit down, do all this stuff essentially alone,
it's very lonely. I was just about to say.
It very much is. And I get that, like sometimes I got to force myself to just write a script or get a couple pages done. And it's kind of for that reason, I think, a little bit, or sometimes you're just tired. You don't feel like writing, or, whatever, you haven't creator block or your writer block. And
vindication is such a motivator though.
What is
you
it?
had to prove him wrong.
Yes.
I love that. You had to prove him.
Well, he didn't want to lose Voltron either.
Bro, watch this. Yeah, I'm gonna put my Voltron on the line for you.
Watch this.
And
Boom,
what you do?
100 pages.
You're like you dropped the mic on him. I love that, dude. I love
Johnny.
that.
You got to do me
That
a
is
favor.
awesome.
All right. So after this video, I'm going to give you my friend's phone number because he has Voltron.
Oh, he has Voltron?
Yeah. So
wait, but I thought you did the 50 pages though, right? I thought you did I miss part of the story here?
No. You see, we've been arguing about this for like 10 years now. See, I feel like I transcended the bet because I got swept away. Like, Harry, you read where book 1 ends. It ends off in this terrible cliffhanger, and I didn't know where I was going to go with that.
It was pretty shocking though, because the main actor, the main character.
It shocked me writing it.
Right.
Okay, so I was shocked.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, this can't happen to my character. So I spent weeks and then months trying to rewrite it, and I'm like, it has to go this way, but I don't know what to do with it.
I'm glad that there's more to it, though.
And then, as you would know, because you got to
Right.
book 2,
Yeah.
so that all does come back around.
Mhm.
And then I asked Phil for an extension. It is unclear how that went, but all I know is one day I showed up in my house. He has a key to my house, and Voltron was gone.
So he just took it.
He fucking thieved it from you. He took that shit from you. You give me his phone number. I have to have words with this man. I got to talk to this man. Look. He stole your Voltron. That's some bullshit. That's some
Well,
bull.
we laugh about it now. I mean, he's my best friend, and I got this.
Bastard.
Well, I had a key to his house too, right?
How
So I
can
went
you
back and
sleep
stole it
at
back.
night, Phil? If you're watching this, Phil, how can you sleep at night?
Was there a ransom note? Was there a ransom note left behind, or
You know,
He sends you
it-
an arm. He sends you just one lion in the mail.
the only thing I can hope for is that he dies first, and then I can just go and get.
You can go grab it back.
Yeah. So Ben, I want to know,
Funny.
Ben, we have very similar backgrounds. I want to know when you started, when you knew you could draw, because I'm also an artist myself. I have friends that I've met when I was like 5 years old, and I still have them today. We still hang
Yeah.
out. Like, we have very similar backgrounds. So when did you find out that, or realize that you can draw, or that was your thing,
I never
or
ever
write
thought
even?
I never thought I was good at drawing or good at
Mhm.
writing.
Same
I
here.
really, but then I came across a book
Yeah.
called Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And if that guy can do it, then I can too.
Yeah.
And so I figured a lot of artists, in Keith and Harry and Johnny, I'm sure you've seen a lot of people at Comic Cons, like they have these great ideas, right? But they're always waiting to get better to bring it to fruition. Like, you know, if I went back and did Freedom Edge again now, it'd be 10 times better. But I think it comes to a point where you just got to get your work out there and just do the best you can. And I've never been afraid of that. So as soon as I decided to do Freedom Edge, I just sat and I drew. I always loved drawing because I was just that type of brained person when I was a kid.
Mhm.
Whatever I couldn't afford or buy, I made. If I saw a cool episode of Ninja Turtles or X-Men, I'd want to draw it out. Or if I knew a video game and I wanted to make my own level to a video game, I'd be at my desk in school, ignoring my math, doing another level to elevator action or something.
Mhm.
I love
I-
elevator action.
I like any artist. I don't think any artist has ever come to a point and said, "Wow, I'm a great artist. Like, this is as good as I'm ever going to be." You know, I don't think that anybody's ever really satisfied. But I was content with the idea that I'm good enough to make something,
Right.
and I think that people undermine themselves a lot when they're too afraid of not being good enough.
Yeah, I think you got a point there. Yeah,
I
definitely.
wish you
Like,
told that to George Lucas when he tinkered with the original trilogy.
I emailed him.
I mean, he never got the email.
I can only do. I'm only one man. You know.
Yep.
I love that you take that perspective, Ben, because I think I've walked both sides of the coin. And just with Freedom's Edge, you talk about how it's a story you've always wanted to tell, and you kind of finally pulled it together to tell it. I had a similar story that I've always wanted to tell that, and I was talking about it in the pre-show, that, you know, it's on my back burner now, but it almost came to fruition. And I feel like in hindsight now that it fell apart, but that was for a reason, because it wasn't at its optimal at that point. You know, sometimes I fully believe now that the longer you live with the story, the only better it's going to get before you commit to a page, because, you know, in turn, you tell other stories, you work on the craft, you become a better storyteller. And then and I'm sure you probably, like, when you got to your epilogues and you found your satisfaction, it was probably your like optimal peak storytelling you could have done for the story. If I'm correct, you know, stop me if I'm wrong here.
Johnny, you're absolutely right. I'm like, this is the best this is ever going to be. I can go back and add more droids, or I can add some CGI and, you know, do some weird, funky stuff. But, you know, it's like going back to rewrite something of like Shakespeare, or, you know, it's like let's let's add some like giant robots onto a Rembrandt. You know, I want to make a little emoji in Da Vinci Sketchbook. It's like, no, you just, things are sometimes just fine the way they are. And I don't want to keep on reliving old successes either. I want to move on from it as well. I just want to.
Yeah, you want to finish it and then kind of move on to the next project or next thing you're gonna do. Yeah, definitely.
But
you don't want to be tinkering with it 3 years from now. You know, trying to fix little things that you don't like about it. You know, you just gotta go. You just gotta go on. You know.
Yeah, absolutely, and I have to admit I have been tinkering with it since I've met some friends in the comic book community as of late, Keith.
Yeah.
And you guys are going to love this. I only just realized that comic book creators don't do the story in the drawing, in the editing themselves. I didn't know that there were artists and writers.
Yeah, you worked way too hard on this.
Yep. So I'm embarrassed to say all this, but also kind of like, well, cool, okay.
Yeah, but isn't it amazing though to do it all though? I mean, you have nobody like
Well, I will say too, like you know, I'd say people that do all of it, like the writing and artists and coloring and everything, lettering. It's so few. I'd say it's maybe 2% of the comic community that does that. So it's like you're in that upper echelon.
But if you have the ability to do it, it's so awesome because you're saving a lot of expense.
Beholden to anybody.
You're not beholden to anybody. You work at your own pace. It's really special to have that ability. Jay Morse is that same thing. Works on it 100% independently. You're your own boss in that 100% in that regard, and that just that's so awesome. It's so awesome to have that type of control. You know what I mean?
And I think that's what it really comes down to. The more in control that you are, I think the more satisfied you are with a project, right?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I agree.
Because you have your own vision in your head and a picture of how you want it to be, and then you make it happen. Like only you know what it looks like in your head. Like, and as an artist, you can picture it. I mean, I can picture things before I draw them. Yeah.
There's been scripts I've sent where I had a very precise vision in my head and I didn't get back what I was looking for, and I'd had to work extra hard to get the artist to kind of get it even an approximation. I mean, that's being said that there's been other artists who've literally pulled images from my head. So it's the quality of my communication and also the quality of the artists themselves. But when you're doing it yourself, there's none of that. You're just doing it. You know what I mean?
I really like kind of what you said. So Freedom Edge, it's done in a Western manga style, right? Okay. Like before I was saying, I didn't feel like I could get the emotion out of a Western style that I wanted. I didn't also want to go with giant, huge eyes like typical Japanese like animation or manga. So you're asking a little bit about some of my influences, and they were all more TV shows that you might have heard of. Cowboy Bebop.
Yep.
Yeah.
Western manga, right? The movie Akira was done more as a Western manga, right?
Yeah.
It was like the big-eyed Japanese style. I don't know if you've ever heard of like a TV series called The Big O, Giant Robot.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
That's the
so
next
awesome.
My wife is going to buy me is The Big O robot.
Oh, awesome.
She doesn't know it, but she's watching now, so now she knows.
That's awesome.
It's on the list for next year's holidays.
Yeah.
That's kind of where my Western manga influences kind of came from. I wanted more emotion from the characters. And Harry, you're going to be the best judge of whether or not it worked. I don't know if it worked, but I defer to you, of course.
No, I thought it was great. I thought it was very not verbose sounds very negative, but it's very wordy, and I liked it. It's very detailed, and it's also like a dual themes too. It's like very political and religious. So I was wondering if you're either one. Are you religious or political, or do you have strong thoughts on those?
Big question. Am I political? More politically concerned than I am.
I think we all are.
Right? Like, I think it's really hard right now to put yourself in a place of knowing where you stand politically, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian. Like, it's all a melting pot right now of ideas, and we're, as citizens, we're all just kind of scared.
Yeah, that's a good point there. Yeah, definitely.
And Harry, you kind of hit on why I never promoted Freedom Edge to begin with. And Keith, I guess I should talk a little bit about that just for a moment.
Yeah, go for it.
When I came up with the idea in high school, then I pitched it to a friend of mine in college. His name was Reggie. And I said, what I want to do is I want to make this outlaw riding a motorcycle, because I know motorcycles, I know the physics. He's got to be riding a motorcycle. He's got to be clumsy, because I'm clumsy. I know how to write that. And I want him to save the nation. I want him to save like America. Like, I want him to save the world. And like, Ben, there's never going to be tyranny in democracy. That's not going to happen. But then he's a historian, so he's like, but you know, if it was going to happen, I've got some ideas for you. So which is why we didn't promote it. We started talking about terrorism, right? How do you instill tyranny in a democratic state? And you do it with fear. So how do you instill fear globally? Well, you have to make a terrorist attack that affects everybody. So he's like, you got to hit the Pentagon. You've got to take down the Twin Towers. You've got to like hit the monuments. You've got to like all these terrorist attacks. So I said, oh, okay, stuff that's never going to happen, right? And so then I wrote Freedom Edge. I drew it, and the entire book is around the laws that are created from terrorism protection. So a government that can look into anything they want to if they're looking for wrongdoing, right? But Freedom Edge takes place like maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 years after that happens. Then social media, news mongering, things get out of control. Then in Freedom Edge, they're electing, TV show blowhards instead of political people. So I never promoted the book. I never decided to put it out there. And only in the past year did a few of my friends in the comic book community get their hands on it. And they said, well, it's time to get this out there. It's, too much.
You're ahead of your time, actually, with that.
Yeah, scared the hell out. I do.
What you're describing to me, Ben, though, sounds like something Frank Miller would do. And like, like there's a comic called Martha Washington, which is sort of like this crazy political world. And even like Dark Knight Returns had a little bit of politics to it and stuff. He kind of does that. He kind of goes to the extreme with like that kind of stuff. So I think, I think there's never a great time, but you're just going to get out there,
Right. And Harry, to answer your question, I like politics. I do. I'm very interested in it. I like that my taxes go to things like police and fire stations and ambulances, school systems. I love that.
Trash pickup,
right. Yeah. And I love religion too. I love God. I'm very spiritual. I don't know anything about God. I've never met them, but I like to think that the world is bigger than what I know. And that's as far as my religion goes, even though my best friend is a priest. We shoot pool every Friday.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But
Johnny, you were going to say something.
I don't like the corruption that goes along with it, politics and religion. And that's kind of where Freedom Edge goes into.
You know what I was thinking too, that's kind of sad, with politics. You can never really be an honest politician or an honest cop, because the more straight edge you are, the more honest you are with people, the more people want to, the other crooked people are. It's like there's many crooked people within politics, as we all know. Like, it's professional lying, really. It's like, like being, used car salesman or something. Like, everyone, you can't. If you're straight edge and honest, people
You're
hate
not
you.
In a
Right,
dishonest,
right. You
like-
have to. You almost have to. So it's almost not worth being a politician and change the country because people are going to hate you or trying to get you or take care of you. If you're
People's
if you're,
perceptions can push things to extremes in that regard.
and if you're a
Oh,
police
that guy,
officer,
that guy follows the law a little too closely. He's
exactly.
suspect. This
If you're-
guy, he's very suspicious. This guy breaks the law all the time. He's very suspect. Well, what do you want them? You want good or bad? You want, you can't have your cake and eat it too in that regard.
If you're a police
know what I
officer,
mean?
and your buddies are do shady things on the side. I mean, as a police officer yourself, should you rat them out or you can't. You
Right.
obviously they're aware of wrongdoings. You know what I mean? Yet that's why
I like to have faith that there's the Jim Gordons in the world that don't
Right.
take the envelope.
Yeah, but
Or,
the Jim Gordons,
that there's
unfortunately, the
the,
Jim Gordons of the world get killed. You know what I mean? It's sad. I don't
It
know.
is harder
That's the
for
real
them.
deal.
I would like to take this moment and say I have the utmost respect for our police programs and systems. Bear with me, okay?
Right.
My cousin is a cop. My
Yeah.
brother-in-law is a U.S. Marshal. The person who took me under their wing for 10 years and kind of made me the therapist I am, he's a cop too.
Mhm.
But it makes it hard for them with the conspiracies and not conspiracies, the real things that happen that are videoed and the things that get just out of control with the judgments. I think just like religion and politics as an idea, I'm so glad that those things are in place.
Mhm.
But I just want to go, but that's what Freedom Edge is all about, is like when things go wrong and who's going to stop it.
Gotcha.
And
And
Harry-
one thing I was curious about, since you're dealing with that in your book, did you I always find it like such a tightrope to do stories like that because you could so easily tip
Turn people
into
off.
like the pretentious
Mhm.
and and kind of browbeat people with a message. Like, were you aware of that when you were creating it and stuff? Or
I think, and Harry, you could probably help me out with this too. I didn't know how to write that.
Mhm.
So I think I got too wordy with my book, trying to explain something. I didn't know how it would be readable to all parties. Because
Mhm.
Harry, if you take like the Ryder character and
Yeah.
you take the Simon Bridge character,
Mhm.
they both thought that they were doing the right thing.
Yeah.
okay,
Right.
so you stayed in the gray kind of storyline, which because that's what I was kind of getting at. Like, if you took a stance when you were writing it, like if you tried to paint it as like a gray thing, like there's no villains, like everyone has like a clear motivation, whether it makes them the villain or not, is one thing or the other.
Well, that
but,
kind of
like,
came through. I thought that came through. Like everyone had their own, perception of what was right. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know if you noticed, I just started leaning towards the camera as you started talking. I'm like, did it? I want to know.
no, I think it. I don't think
you
you're
were hanging on his words.
Right. I don't think you were leaning any one way. I thought it was. There's obviously many people, many characters, and they all have their own views on their own agendas. Almost. But
I think some of the more finely tuned stories out there, the ones that treat those subjects subtly. The one I always like to point back to is Battlestar Galactica. Both the old original series and the remake they did in 2004. But 2004 took the political climate at the time and just so gently weaved it into this apocalyptic story of humanity trying to stay together even though the numbers kept decreasing. And then you look at the original series and how a lot of that was an allegory for religious things at that time, but it was all done so subtle that anybody could watch it. It didn't matter what you believed in or what your faith was or whatever the case may be. You can engage with it and you can kind of, from the original series, take away from it being a really great adventure show.
Yeah.
And then take away from the 2004 series a really great political drama, even though it's set in space and we're fighting robots,
Yeah.
And I think that we're all kind of in that huge lifeboat together in our country, right? It's like, oh my God, who do we trust? Who do we believe?
Mhm.
You know, who do
Which
we
one of us are
stand
Cylons?
Right,
Right.
because and it changes too, right? Like,
Yep.
like every time we get on the internet, it's like, oh, I guess I can't trust that person or that party or that politician or that police department.
Mhm.
But we want to. We want to just be able to live our lives without that type of fear.
Right.
I mean, I don't want to get too
They just
political,
get
but you know,
worse.
We're breaking all of our politics rules, Keith. We
I
got
know,
to
we are.
can I
You
break
gotta
one
bring
more?
people in.
It's like,
we're like, oh,
so-
yeah, we never talk about politics, and guess what? Politics.
The
Well,
last
the one
character.
thing too, like this whole conversation stayed in kind of a gray area, so I was
Well,
fine with it, you know. So
You know what I thought. You know, with the irony, like the last, you know, like the January 6th, you know, situation there. The people were beating officers with the thin blue line flags. How you know, really, you support the police officers? You know, these like you know, supporters were attacking the Capitol Police with these flags. I mean, like what's more
What's more
like
ironic-
hypocritical than that? You know,
hypocritical, yeah.
really. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm done.
But again, and that's kind of where I wanted Freedom Edge to stay.
Yeah.
Like there were these clear villains working in the shadows. Harry, you read about that.
Yeah.
But they weren't the ones that were up on the podiums. They weren't the police force. They weren't the ones that were in the spotlight. Just like my main character was always working behind the scenes, and he had to go behind the scenes to kind of say, God, because I don't want to give anything away in the book.
Right. Yeah.
But in book 2, he has to go while there's this big commotion going on. Everybody's got their eyes on this because it's a revolution story.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you that much. So while this revolution is going on, he's kind of going behind the curtain to make the real change. And that's what my historian friend told me. He's like, you know, the news are going to be watching the riots and the revolution and the fights in the street, but that's not where things are actually going to get solved. You have to, you know, kill the snake, you know, cutting off its head at the top.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where how do you make a motorcycle outlaw, you know, stop tyranny in a nation? It's like, oh my God, now I have to write a story behind this. I have no idea what to do.
yeah, no, I can't even imagine putting a story like that together, like, because I'm so like I know I wouldn't be good at it. Like I'm just better at like just good versus evil superhero kind of things, you know. So
Ben, a lot of what you've described actually kind of reminds me of the 2000 AD series. So like the Judge Dredd comic books, things of that nature, where it's kind of society to an extreme in certain ways. And the way, you know, Dredd is kind of like this exaggerated character of the lawman. It sounds like you have the same thing in your main character, where he's like this exaggerated biker who in turn kind of is looking to administer his brand of justice and bring law to the lawless in that regard.
Maybe it's more like New Detroit in RoboCop or something.
RoboCop, something within that vein, like that kind of style. And then, you know, even thinking when we're talking about like infallible cops, like Alex Murphy is the seminal like good cop, you know, the guy who is learning to spin his gun to impress his son because he's that noble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Johnny, I think that is an incredible perspective. And Harry, you can tell me if I'm wrong. But Johnny, that's the complete opposite of my character.
No way, really?
Yeah.
Although there is an element.
I mean, I don't know.
There is an element of preservation and robotics in your story too. Like
there is.
Right.
It's wild. So when you get to the end of book 1, right? He's not this ne'er-do-well. He's not this, he doesn't consider himself a good guy. In book 1, he just comes along accidentally, this heist, right? Where that's cool.
I was gonna put up some of your artwork.
Oh, please do.
Do it. Fire it up. Wait, is there an active campaign right now, by the way?
What do you mean?
Is there like
no? I think we just came on to promote.
Oh, okay. All right.
So if you want to, Keith, if you go up to archive, the entire book is up there to read for free.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah. So
It's just free.
Yep. Except for the prologues and epilogues now.
Yeah, that's what I didn't read.
I'll share that in the chat in case someone wants to check it out. Now, do you have a link to where people can buy it too, Ben?
Well, I
Not
haven't
yet.
done selling any books, but now, yes, I will get that to you as soon as possible.
Yeah. No, that'd be great. Well,
Is there
Johnny-
not books for sale in the store, or?
No, I've only been printing them out for people that wanted one. But now
oh wow.
we're going to be doing the. People have convinced me to do a convention in Greenfield, Massachusetts, here at Hawks.
Oh yeah, I know which one you're talking about. The Western Comic Con or something like that.
Yes, it's put on by Kit. It's right next to the comic book store, His and Hers Comics. That's
Oh
right.
yeah, yep.
And so people have convinced me to start selling the book. So I'm gonna do a huge run of the book for people that
I
want.
like artwork, Ben. I'm just scrolling through this. It's very it's got a nice energy to it.
Thank you.
It's got that manga stuff, but it I really like what I'm seeing. So
By all means, keep going through it. And Johnny, I'm sorry I lost my train of thought. We're talking about the main hero, right? Like he's not I love Judge Dredd, by the way, just so you know. Love him in every fact. My character is really just, he stumbles upon this heist going down and he realizes that it's this huge government conspiracy trying to get the attention off of this other scandal that's going on. So he kind of intervenes so that all of a sudden, all eyes of the world are on the scandal. But then he has to go into hiding. And that's where book 2 comes in. He's in hiding, this broken, and Harry, you can attest to this, he's a broken person. Mm-hmm. He tried to do the right thing once, it backfired. Everybody he cared about or loved was affected. And then because he kind of holds the key to, what do I say, what do I not say? He's using the key to stop tyranny among the nation as a doorstop.
Huh? Mm-hmm. I like that though. It's like
he's like, no, I could stop this whole scandal. I could stop this conspiracy, but F you all. I'm just gonna I'm gone. Forget about me.
That's very Snake Plissken though, because what did Snake do at the end of Escape from LA but shut off the world?
Yep, he pushed the red button.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. I love the native vibes I'm getting off your main character, just looking at the art here.
In a weird way, I thought that maybe there's a point where he had, like kind of like Batman, he's going to have to, make up a disguise, or something, and be this like a vigilante type person, and like, I
think he always kind of knew he was on like a suicide run.
Yeah.
And I never was into superheroes when I was a kid. I always liked G.I. Joe, like physicality, tanks, machines, vehicles. My dad had me driving when I was 8 years old. He put me on his lap. So I've always been a very physically minded person, which comes out in my storytelling too. It's, I only drew him on a motorcycle because I know how those physics work. And there's a great homage to my father right in book 1. Harry, you read it, where maybe I can flip to it really quick. It's this little picture that it's an homage to my father, where he kind of taught me how to drive. Oh, and I don't know if you guys can see this. Is this coming in okay?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh,
so the gun looks a little bit like Massachusetts.
I was about to say that looks like Massachusetts if I've ever seen it.
Very graphical.
Yeah.
So everything in my book Phil's in there. My wife is in there. When my wife cut her hair from short to long, that's in there.
Yep.
She's the one of the main characters. My priest is in there. My mother is in the refugee camp feeding people because she's Polish and that's what she does with people. My father is in there teaching my main character how to drive in the same dune buggy that I grew up driving in. So
you threw a lot of your personal. Yeah, it sounds like this is like a personal diary a little bit.
Oh, well, it's like
Is there a Gwumpke recipe in the back?
There might be now. That's a great idea. You guys know Dave Stevens, of course, right?
Yeah, Rocketeer. Yep.
Right. So Dave always said that Rocketeer is me. Rocketeer is my story about me, just with a rocket pack. And that's why it was so important for him to write it. And that's why it was so easy for me to write Freedom Edge, is I didn't have to invent a lot of the characters. I'm like, that's
You
not
pulled from your own life.
like, what would Mike say, if he were the vice president? What would my mom say if she was yelling at the main character? Or, what would my Auntie Ethel be driving as a war vehicle in a revolution?
Mhm.
Like, all of these things, it's like, that's how the story wrote itself, is because I
You
just
lived it.
from my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yep.
like that. Because I don't often, it's funny, I don't often pull from my personal life when I write a comic.
Yeah, I was going to ask you who you were in your comics, Keith. Are you the bear or?
Well, I'm actually a henchman. I'm a henchman in the book.
That's right.
Right, I'm a
Johnny is a
henchman,
henchman
so I'm in
one of the
there.
books.
Yeah. You did pull from real life there.
I don't know what character I
I
would
did,
be
yeah.
in any movie.
What'd you
sure.
say, Harry?
I'm not sure what character I would be if movie wise. I'm not sure. Maybe Patch Adams. I'm not sure.
Well, hang on. What character would you want?
Yeah. You're like this with a little red ball.
I'm not sure.
I like that you pulled the inspiration from people in your real life, because honestly, what is storytelling but kind of framing things based upon your personal experiences and the people that surround you, and that's kind of what that's kind of what builds you up as a person and as a character, is the things that you surround yourself with. So in turn, when you're putting that into your story, you couldn't be any more genuine.
Right. When you were asking about politically or religiously, and that's kind of how I wrote the story and wrote my character, because that's where I am. I'm just going to go with the best idea that I think is the best at that time. And I'm just going to do the best I can. I feel like if we're always just working towards better, that's the way you get through life.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's perfect.
That's kind of how I judge, my movies and whatnot. That if it touches me somehow emotionally, then that's one of my favorite all-time movies. Whatever. Of course, obviously. But one of my favorite movie that I'm not embarrassed to say, it's nothing modern. It's a Wonderful Life, because what a great message in that movie. I mean, it's no matter what you are and what you do in life, as long as you have friends, you're not a failure. You know what I mean? What a great message, because in everyone's life, I mean, this time of year, I mean, everyone's life does touch so many other lives. You know what I mean? So whether you think you're a great artist or a great person or whatever, there's somebody out there that values you. That you might not even know about. So
Right.
right.
What do you feel about It's a Wonderful Knife, Harry?
I saw that, but I don't know. I don't think I.
Oh, is that a real thing?
That's a real movie. Yeah.
I did see the ad for that, but I was like, yeah.
It's like that movie Freaky, where they the girl, it's like they
body
she stops
switch
the
movie?
serial killer, and then like something happens where she wishes that she never existed, and because she does that, the serial killer never got caught and was
I can't
killing all
watch
these
that.
people.
No.
I haven't watched it yet, but I heard it was bad. So
Yeah, I
haven't
can't.
watched
I
it.
refuse to watch it.
It actually sounds like one of the movies that Bill Murray was pitching when he was in Scrooged.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
definitely
yeah,
does sound
yeah,
like
that's
that.
right.
The night the reindeer
It's a good
came
call.
or whatever.
You know what I like too? I like the Abraham Lincoln vampire killer or whatever.
Yeah,
Hunter.
like when they mix genres like that.
Because everything that happens in that movie, I mean, everything that happens in history really does happen. They talk about in that movie, is historically accurate, but vampires cause it.
Yeah, right.
You got me thinking, Harry, a little bit, because there's movies that I don't think are particularly good movies overall,
Yeah.
but scenes in them
Touch you somehow.
touch me. Like,
Yeah,
for
right.
example, in The Amazing Spider-Man, the first Andrew Garfield movie, not that great of a movie. It's okay, right?
Yeah.
Agreed.
But the scene when he goes to save the kid and to keep the kids from freaking out, he hands him his mask, says, "Put it on, it'll give you power."
Mhm.
Even that chokes me up a little bit.
Right. That
You know
well
what I
for
mean?
me, like the Lion King, because I lost my dad. You know what I mean. So when what's his name, Simba, sees his dad, talking to him, like, oh my god, the clouds
right.
form into, man, like
Keith, what
like
movie do
it's
you
just,
cry about?
what was that?
Like Keith, what movie do you cry about every time? What
Uh,
movie gets
I'd have to think about that one. Jeez, I mean, I'm so emotionally distant when I watch movies.
Well, Ben, you said
so-
you're a psychologist, right?
Yeah.
I don't have a PhD
Oh,
or
therapist. You said, right?
yeah, I can't call myself a
I'm
psychologist.
I
but
know there's movies that have gotten to me. Like I can't think of one right
Is it
now.
Freddy
off the
Got
top of my
Fingered?
head.
I cry because of how bad that movie is. The time I'll never get back.
Oh man,
The very first movie I went to, I cried at, and I
what was
cried the
that?
second time I saw it too. My folks brought me to see Benji the Hunted, and I
Oh, yeah,
cried
that's
at the end
Oh,
because
I
I was
think
so
I cried at
happy.
that too.
I was so happy that he was
Mhm.
saved at the end.
Yeah.
And then like I was like, oh, that's a fluke. And then I saw it again with a friend, and I was still little, like it was, when it came out. And he turned around, he's like, "Are you crying?"
Oh, no,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Um,
Amy,
I
Amy's
also-
right on this one. I did cry at the Iron Giant.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
That's a good one.
that's a good
Yeah.
example.
yeah. Did anybody else cry at Speed Racer? Or is that just me?
The movie.
Oh.
I never seen it actually.
No, but I love Speed Racer on a very like deep level, so I can
like
get
that
I
movie,
totally
too.
get that. I love
When
Speed
he's
Racer.
in his final race and he's having all the flashbacks, and his mom is like, "It's like watching art." I swear, it gets me every time. That is one of two movies that makes me cry every time I watch.
Is it really? That's awesome.
That's
I
awesome.
cried at Titanic, but not because of the reason why you might think. I went to see that movie with my ex girlfriend, and she was like sitting next to me, and when Rose was like, trying to save Jack, it's like, Jack, don't let go. I was like looking at her, like she would let go immediately. She would never save my life.
I
Whatever.
teared up as most recently when I went to go see Bumblebee in the theater
Mhm.
because
Okay.
I always wanted to see that iteration of Optimus Prime in live action with the tractor trailer
Yeah,
and the flat nose Peterbilt Freightliner truck,
Yep.
and it was him and Bumblebee in their G1 forms going over the San Francisco Bridge, and I was just like so happy. I was so I was smiling so wide,
the
my tear
nostalgia.
ducts were pushing out water. And then Kate, like my girlfriend at the time, looks over, she's like looking at me, and I'm like, I'm so happy.
Like, why are you happy? Because I know they tied up Michael Bay and he's in a cellar somewhere.
He's dead somewhere. He's dead
Yeah.
somewhere, and I don't care anymore. And somebody better give Travis Knight an award.
So I know we're supposed to be talking about my comic, but I've got to ask you guys: have you tried reading the new Transformers that just came out?
Yeah, I love it. Actually,
I love it. I'm going to get
Yeah.
the subscription. It is
Yeah.
all G1.
love
Spike is
that.
in it. It's a complete reboot, but it's also done in a very scratchy art. Makes it very raw.
but also too, it's done in a way that's different. I mean, the same events kind of happen, but
Mhm.
not in the way the cartoon unfolded. Which is
Mhm.
kind of cool. I
And
like doing that guy. Well, speaking of a guy that writes and draws his own stuff, there you go. The guy that does that Transformers comic writes
it's
and
kind
draws
of bloody
his own
too. There's a
stuff. And
lot
he's
of gore in
from
this.
Massachusetts.
Oh, that's good to see. I don't know these things.
Yeah, he's from I want to say Marlboro, or he's somewhere like he's from this area. He lives in Chicago now, but he is from Massachusetts.
I have the first few issues under the tree. Thanks, Keith. I haven't got a chance to read it yet, but I
Okay.
will. Yeah, I haven't read
Johnny,
it
you're
yet.
gonna love it. I
I
think
know
you're
I
gonna,
will. I absolutely
But-
know I will.
Ben, like the characterization in that, like especially the Optimus Prime stuff. And I think
Mhm.
in issue 2, you know what I'm talking about with the deer. That stuff was great. Like, I mean, I was like, this is so cool.
it was amazing what they did in so few panels. And it
Yeah,
was
I
I haven't
agree.
read a story like this with this depth in a very long time, because this is not your typical Marvel or DC stamp it out, this is what people want, stamp it.
Right. Kirkman,
it's
man.
completely unpredictable.
Yeah.
And they did an amazing segue. I don't think this is a spoiler, Johnny. I'm sorry if it is. You should know
Yeah,
that.
no worries, no worries.
So they introduced Duke from
Yeah.
G.I. Joe through
did hear that.
Transformers and finally connect the worlds, which now I'm reading Duke, and it's fantastic. It's like an old Cloak and Dagger spy sleuth thriller. I love
it's
it.
great. Yeah, so you
That's
get to
cool.
see the beginnings of G.I. Joe, which is so cool.
Well, I've
And I
mentioned
can't wait-
before. Sorry,
ahead,
go
Johnny.
on, Keith.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I've mentioned before that I'm a big fan of Mask, and if there's one thing I'd want to write, it would be that, and I'd love to write
Tracker.
Mask that connects to that.
Not with the movie with Cher, right?
Not
Yeah,
Cher,
okay.
not Jim Carrey.
All right,
the
all right.
Matt M.A.S.
Mobile Armored Strike Command.
Yes, exactly.
Speaking of that one with Cher, this is a
Matt-
horrible story.
Matt
But my
Tracker.
friend.
Oh,
Matt Tracker.
Oh, nice.
oh, yeah.
When G.I. Joe did a reissue of Mask characters, and they did a Matt Tracker.
Oh, wow, cool.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so cool, man. Yeah, I love Matt Tracker. What a great name, too. Matt
I know, right?
Tracker.
What were you
They
saying,
looked
Keith?
good.
good in the 80s.
Yeah, right. What'd you
What
say,
were you
Harry?
saying? What were you saying about?
Oh, I was
Cher?
saying about this is an awful story. It's funny though,
Yeah.
of the mask with Cher and Rocky Dennis or whatever.
Yeah, right.
My friends are all like horror fans, and they wanted to buy the rights to Mask so that they can make a sequel called The Revenge of Rocky Dennis and turn it into like a slasher movie. Because it's
They did that already. It's called Hatchet.
yeah. But like that movie kind of has the makings of a slasher origin, you know,
Mhm.
which is kind of funny.
But it's just done in a very lighthearted and
No,
nice.
but yeah,
Oh, what do you
It was
guys
like
think?
it was like if Jason had a very good mother as opposed to
yeah,
Mrs.
right.
Voorhees.
Not to go off on another tangent, but what do you guys think of what the show What If? Have you guys seen any of that yet? Or
I haven't watched the new season yet, but have you, Johnny? Is it any good?
I saw the first 3 episodes so far,
Mhm.
and I enjoy them. I love the whole concept of seeing things reframed in a different way.
I'm like the
So-
opposite almost. Like it's like what if? Like what? Yeah, what if? Like it's
Like,
not
why-
really. It's
yeah,
not
why
really.
don't care?
Right? It's
I
not
do
really-
enjoy What If only because they put a lot of care into that show to rewrite MCU history. And I like that. I like
I
that they
do like-
rewrite things that way in that regard. And I always loved Uatu the Watcher anyway as a
Right.
character. So to see him executed in live action, I love that.
It's
I do
cool.
like
Yeah.
that the original actors are in it, that they're voicing the characters, so that's good.
Yep.
But
Yeah, I'll get to that at some point,
Mhm.
I'm
It's
sure.
fun.
yeah,
But anyways,
Now-
we're
Yeah, I was just saying we went way on. Actually,
Yeah,
so
sorry.
I actually had a question for you, Ben. It sounds like you've kind of definitively told the story you've meant to tell in terms of getting into comics and making that. It doesn't sound like, I mean, you might be inspired to do a little bit more. It sounds like you have a little bit of influence from some creatives that might open that up to you. But I was going to say, is what's next? Are you going to do a little bit more, or
the movie version, right?
are you looking
I wanna-
to
I
do
wanna
a
be in
different
it.
kind of story?
No, so that kind of brings me to this weird thing you guys might not know about.
Mhm.
The reason why I just got into comics in the past year is because I found out there's a local comic book store, His and Hers Comics, right at my back door, and I didn't know it was there. I was disabled last year. I actually only just started walking.
Mhm.
Yeah, you mentioned that in the email. I was gonna ask about it, but I was kind of like I was trying to be like kind of
No,
I wasn't
so
sure if you wanted to talk about it, so I kind of
it's
didn't
why
bring it
there's
up.
no so what's next for me as an artist who lost all dexterity in my hands and I can't really draw anymore.
Mhm.
What happened to you, Ben? Was it like an accident or?
Keith, thank you. It was a long story short. It was an abdominal injury, a lot of misdiagnosis, doctors doing procedures and surgeries on my spine instead of listening to me when I said, I don't think it's my spine. Like I'm having urinary problems. Can we look at the front?
Mhm.
And by doing the wrong treatments, it taxed the injured part, which kept spraining and hurting other areas until last year. I had to stop being a therapist, which did crush me because like I love working with the kids, and I only work with like the kids that need me most.
Yeah.
My body froze like an engine without oil. It just
Oh my
stopped.
God.
I couldn't
Wow.
sit up. I couldn't really breathe.
Holy
I was
shit.
locked. I was just locked completely. Like my wife had to like help me shower, help me eat.
Oh my God.
Like I couldn't like drive. I couldn't like I couldn't turn my arms enough because my body had just had enough, and my doctors were telling me to do the contrary treatments so it's like, oh, we need to work on your front, but that's what I heard. No, it's got to be a nerve thing in your back, so we're going to strengthen your abdomen so that your back, you know, the tension is released back here. So continually compounding the problem, everything froze. No, Johnny, I can still kind of draw, but it's really difficult. I have to kind of like lock in on I can't even really do my own signature anymore.
Oh my God.
Man, but let me just say it's awesome that you are where you are right now,
Thank you.
given the circumstances that you've had to endure.
Yeah, like I
That's
see you
amazing,
moving your
and
arms around and
the
your
fact
hands
that
and everything.
You were walking around before and showing us your shelf and all that stuff. Like, dude, that is awesome.
And I saw that video of you playing pool too. So you're back at playing billiards. So I saw
That's
that.
actually part of my physical therapy. So one of the things that failed on me was my inability to lean over.
Yep.
So my friend and I, before my body collapsed, we bought a pool table together. This was during COVID because we couldn't go play pool anywhere. And going back and playing pool, being able to lean over the table, and I was holding myself up at the table. I couldn't actually, like, my stomach wouldn't hold me up. So I would spend the entire day laying down. The very first day, and thank you, Harry, very much for noting that. That was the best day in the world when I'm like, I'm walking again.
Yep.
Oh my God. And that was about 6 months of my own therapy because I fired all my providers.
Yep.
I talked to my wife, and it was either get busy living or get busy dying. We were looking at other states to find out which states I could cash out because I wasn't going to live like this anymore. And treatments weren't going anywhere. So I kind of became my own physical therapist. I started getting my own apps, my own information, did my own physical therapy, demanding my own treatments. I got about 100 cortisone shots on muscles that were just frozen. But things like playing pool, that's like active therapy. And like where I couldn't really walk 4 months ago, now I played pool last Friday. I'm like, oh, right. I was hurt a little while ago. And it's like, it's gone in my head. It's like, I don't even remember it anymore because I was just dissociating that whole time that I couldn't sleep. I couldn't talk. I couldn't walk. I could nothing. And now I don't even remember that time of my life.
So were you able to get down to curing the original problem that caused all this? Or are you still working at it?
It's gonna, now that my body is stuck in a state of homeostasis, I do have a long-term muscle disorder. I will always have this now because my body is locked into this knowledge.
Okay.
But so every day I'm on the treadmill for 20 minutes and I can't not be. I have to do my PT 3 times a day without question. But I'm living my life. I'm making my wife dinner, wrapping Christmas presents. I was able to draw a Charizard for my nephew and Princess Peach for my niece. I drew, it was terrible, a caricature for Lunch Money Comics, Mike.
Oh, yeah, Mike. Yeah.
So I did a caricature for him. He asked me to do a picture of Nightcrawler hugging Man-Thing for a friend of his, Brandon, at moncomics.com.
Okay.
And those things weren't comfortable, but 3 months ago, I couldn't lean over a desk to do them at all. So guys, again, thank you. Just being here tonight is a blessing and a gift. Being
No,
able to-
no, it's our pleasure having you here. I mean, it's pretty
Dude,
inspiring.
yeah.
It's
It's
the
awesome
kind
that you ever overcome all that. Like,
Is that
that's
the kind of
amazing. I'm
therapy-
so thoroughly impressed.
I mean,
Thank
that could be your calling, actually helping other people that might be in the same boat as you. You know, maybe like they need like a little pick me up, or you to, tell them there's more to life.
People reach out to me more about injuries and wellness than they do about the comic. People don't give a shit about the book. Like, how do you get better?
Yeah.
Well, now you got to turn that around. You got to
Flipping it around now. Now it's all about the book.
And Johnny, to really answer your question in all honesty, I'm sorry for that long explanation, but
No.
I'm maybe 1/10 of the artist that I used to be.
You
But-
know what I was going to say though? Even though you may not be able to do what you used to do, art. What is art? Art could be anything that you draw can be appreciated by somebody else. You know what I mean? You don't. The art that you're doing right now is the artist that you are. Maybe you transformed into a different kind of artist. You know what I mean? Like maybe the art that you're doing now is maybe not the same, but different and also good.
So, and that's perfect.
I agree.
What I've kind of been doing is I'm able to kind of do like pencil sketches.
Okay.
And then like it's really raw, it's rough, but the depth is there. You can see what I'm trying to draw.
Yeah.
And what I've been doing is I've been giving these pictures to kids and say, you ink this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go touch it up in Photoshop.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden we're like, this would make a really good cover for a book. You want to write a story for this? And so I'm actually talking to a few friends of mine who have kids that are really talented and unbelievably motivated. I'd love to show you a picture of what an 8-year-old just came up with. It's a beautiful rendition.
Yeah, show it. We'd love to see it.
I can't yet. I don't know if I'm allowed.
all
Oh,
right.
okay. Yeah. We don't want to get you in trouble either.
So I'm already going to extend the invite out right now, Ben. When there's something that you can show, you and the 8-year-old have to come on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a deal?
Deal. I think that would be a wonderful when and if there's a team, she's the artist and there's another writer. If they put together a little digest-sized book, I will come straight to you guys.
Please.
It
Please
will warm your Christmas hearts. It's all about like it was such a magical year in so many ways. But that's my future, Johnny. Is like I've made my book. This is the stuff that's just lying on my desk. I've got pictures. Like I have plenty of pictures. This is just like stuff I have lying around. Like it's everywhere. I don't need to draw anymore. I want to get other people drawing. I want to inspire them because so much is social media now. Everything is so instant gratification. Drawing is hard.
And you want to have more of
guys
that
know.
one-on-one connection with people, and it makes sense.
Can I ask a very bizarre question?
What's that?
Can I ask? I have a very bizarre comment or a question. I mean, so like a year ago, like because when Keith first told me about your story, told me like kind of like what happened. I'm like, oh, it's I wonder if because it's kind of in tune because in the past year, what's his name, Jeremy Renner, is that his name? Who got in his accident and he got run over by his plow, basically his bobcat. And it's been a whole year. It's been like actually a year anniversary. It happened on January 1st. Did that ever inspire you at all, or ever because in recovery or?
I just learned about it last week.
Oh, did you?
I just saw him on the news. He's back to normal, and he.
I don't know if he's back to normal.
He went.
He broke every bone in his body.
I know, isn't that crazy? And then
oh
he's back to normal, and he went to the hospital to thank everybody that helped him. And it was kind of
to go
cool,
from where he was crushed by this thing, to where he is today. It's pretty amazing.
To just do it, you have that will. It's all will,
not unlike Ben, who took it upon himself to rehabilitate himself. And was like, screw these doctors that are fucking around with me.
Right.
I know what's right for me. And you seized the opportunity to take into your own hands, man. That's commendable, dude.
Yeah.
I think that, we all need to use our common sense. We all are our own. I'm a therapist, but whenever somebody comes into my office, it's like, you're the expert on you. You tell me who you are, and we're going to work with your scheme. Doctors have 5 minutes with their patients to make a diagnosis, and our medical system just failed me. And so that's when I realized, oh, I can figure this out, or I die, or, you know.
Right.
But I have to say, like, I have the best friends in the world. My wife has been just my rock through all of this. I have a friend named Kara that would just come visit me, sit next to me on the couch for the day when I was lonely, and we would just watch Ted Lasso, even though I couldn't look at the screen because I'd just be listening to it like frozen. People bringing me things, fruit baskets. If it was just me against the world, I would have cashed in my chips. But the friends and family that I've had that have been rooting for me, like, all right, I'll try it. I'll try it again. Let's see what we can do. And then I got into comics because
very inspiring, dude.
Going through boxes hunting for Dave Stevens covers is it keeps you on your feet for quite a while.
The hunt, yeah, it does. You know,
hunting for comics.
Me, I hate the hunt. So like, you know, I love that you love to do. A lot of people love it. I hate it. I don't want to hunt nothing. I just go to eBay and get it immediately. Like
you get to a certain age, Keith. You know, you're done hunting. You done run. You done.
Yeah,
I'm
done. I'm a gatherer. You know, I'm not like a hunter.
Yeah.
You know, so.
I used to hunt. I used to have my
awesome,
list in my
Ben.
pocket that will, you know, things crossed it off whenever I find it.
Dude, I mean, very inspiring, honestly, dude. It's like, I can't even imagine that happening to you, seeing you right now. Like, I can't even imagine seeing that, like, you know, 4 months ago, you know, it's crazy.
Looking at myself in the mirror, I can't even imagine it either, Keith. I was weighing about 125 pounds because I couldn't eat anymore, and I wasn't sleeping either. Now I'm 165, and I do planks and crunches, and I got a treadmill.
And you're Spider-Man.
And you're Spider-Man.
Wait, are you telling me that if these doctors diagnosed you correctly at the very beginning, you wouldn't be going through this right now? Or is that could have been prevented? Or
so I had a muscle disorder, and they kept on saying it's got to be skeletal, it's got to be a pinched nerve, it's got to be a disc problem. But after 8 years, you'd think that they'd come up with something different. And what I have is called myofascial pain syndrome. And finally, I found a doctor in West Springfield, Massachusetts, who's been my hero. He's like, Ben, go ahead.
This can remind. I think the lead singer for what's that Dragons group?
Dragons.
I think he's separate. He has something like that. He has to. I think has a similar condition. To be honest,
it's a lot. It feels like fibromyalgia, where your muscles just tight and painful.
Yeah.
And if I sit too long, it's not just, I'm sore. It's the muscles stop pushing blood through.
Oh, okay.
So it's a circulation issue because it just shuts down. Like if I'm in pain, I don't feel it because the muscles just stop. The pain is just going to stop.
Weird.
So
So you just gotta stay active then, like is what you're saying, like 3 times a day doing your PT and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That in and of itself can be a plot to a story, like in Memento, where he had to write out all the notes on his body. You could have a guy who always has to be moving
at
all
Memento.
times.
Yeah, Memento's an amazing movie.
Right?
Guy Pearce, what an incredible guy.
Yeah, my favorite actor of all time.
And that's the director, the guy who just did
Nolan.
Oppenheimer. Nolan, yeah, that's Nolan movie, right?
Yeah, amazing movie.
A lot of people haven't heard of that one. It was incredible.
Yeah, it's so good. It's one of Nolan's best, easily.
There's never been another movie done like it either.
I agree. Like it's cool, and I love when you finish watching it, you can always like interpret what actually happened and like talk to people about it and things like that, which is really cool, you know.
And for your viewers that have never seen it, it's basically a guy that has no long-term memory. Well, he has old memories from before, but he can't make new memories. Is that right, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he only remembers up to a specific year, and then he suffers from like the Groundhog Day syndrome of where his memory resets every morning, and he in turn has these tattoos and he leaves
kinda
notes
know.
to help kind of get him through. And he's in turn also solving a mystery. It's been a while since I've seen it, so I don't remember the specifics, but I also remember that the movie plays backwards.
Yeah.
Right. So each segment, you're learning what's going on just at the same time he is, which it's not a linearly done movie, it's so hard to do. Like, how do you write something like that?
Yeah,
So
it's brilliant.
while he's being shocked, like, who is this person chasing me? Why is this guy shooting at me? Who is this person in my bedroom? You feel what he doesn't know. You feel as lost as he does. That's all you can ask your audience to ever do, is kind of like tune in to like your work, right? And that's all I tried to do with Freedom Edge and Harry. All I tried to do is which is why now I really want you to read the epilogue.
Yeah, I want to read it. I want to know how it ends.
I will get the work to you. It's like, I just want people to feel as lost as my characters do at the end. Like, my God, what do we do now? It's like, how do we rebuild? How do we heal? How do we keep moving forward?
Very dystopian too. Your story is kind of.
I'm telling you, Ben, you gotta put the book together. You have to source a crowdfunding campaign so you can put it out there and give people the opportunity to buy a hardbound copy. And you need to set a tier called Freedom Edge Gwamki Edition. And then the back of that has the recipe for the Gwamkis.
It's a very tempting idea.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I'm going to start wrapping this up because we've been going an hour and 43 minutes, which is
I'm so sorry,
unbelievable.
guys.
No, isn't that crazy?
I feel like we could keep going here. That's the thing.
know.
Like,
It's
I
nuts.
feel like
Like,
we had so many tangents. I don't even feel like we got given you enough opportunity, Ben. I apologize.
I haven't been able to talk for a year, so now it's just all coming out on you guys.
Well, we appreciate having you, man.
Yeah, and when you get in the room with like-minded people, it really, it's like a kinship, like
And guys, you're also nice. You're also kind. I love your channel. Thank you. It's been a gift coming on with you. Like, truly, like, thank you for having me. Like, just being able to sit up. Like, I'm not in. I can't say enough how, like, this is like a bucket list thing for me. And
we'll have you back, right, Keith? Yeah, and Johnny.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, look at this. We got some comments. Levi, good show, guys. Yeah, that's awesome.
Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in, Levi. Appreciate that.
Very inspirational.
One thing I wanted to share in the chat, though, we never got to your Instagram, so I'm going to share that if people
or the
want to
video
follow you. Yeah, we never got the video. Is it? We'll have to find it.
Let's play it.
Do you have the link, Ben?
So I think I sent you an email, Keith, to a link to the trailer.
Gotcha. Let me check real quick while we're talking.
While he's pulling that up, this is a message for best friend Phil. Best friend Phil, I fully expect there to be a Voltron delivered to Ben's house by the end of the week.
Yeah,
If he doesn't have his Voltron back by Friday, I'm going to be very disappointed in you.
Right, share Phil's address.
So my wife just texted me and she's like, "Oh, I've got to team up with Johnny about this and get
Johnny will get it done.
I will get it done.
Johnny will be there with a baseball bat, like gangsta style.
I just have to show up at his doorstep and peel an orange and look at him menacingly.
I found the trailer, so let me see.
Let's roll the footage.
Let me get this queued up. I think
Let's
I got
do it.
Hang on, let me present.
It's all original soundtrack as well.
What's that? Yeah, I'll have the sound on it as well. Yeah,
but it's original. You're saying? Did you create the music too?
No, my friend who's in the book, he's a pianist, and he made the soundtrack for me.
Cool.
Oh,
Awesome.
Cool. All right, so let's run it.
Love that.
That is awesome.
Yeah, that looks
Ben, if
dope.
you ever do a crowdfunding campaign, you got the video already.
The video's all set.
Yeah,
That's
the
awesome.
Video is good.
That was a lot of
awesome.
fun to do. My John Wayno, he's an incredible pianist. I've known him since he was like 5 years old, and he's like, I would love to make you just a little soundtrack.
Look at that. We got someone's following you on your Instagram already.
No, thank you so much, guys, for the support. No,
yeah, we love supporting guys like you, Ben, who, just starting out or doing this like lifelong project that you wanted to do. And, you're such a nice guy too, on top of that. So it's like, it was awesome to have you on. Anything else that you want to promote while you're here? Like, we threw the Instagram up, we threw your website up. I could share that again if people want to read Freedom's Edge.
It's
You
worth
said you're eventually going to sell copies too?
Yep. So all the copies are going to look like this. They're about a little bigger than a manga style.
Okay. It looks like a little more wider. Is that?
It's a little wider and a little taller. It's 350 pages.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah. It's a very substantial book.
Yeah.
Which makes it very expensive. So the books are going to be around $45, and I'm going to lose money on everyone. And that's okay.
That. Yeah.
All right. So
is it because of the weird size? Is that why in the amount of pages?
But with shipping and the printing costs,
yeah.
I'm not looking to make any money from Freedom Edge at all. Any money that
you don't want to lose money either.
Right. So I break about even after a while. Really, it's just fun to get the book in people's hands and to know what they like. Harry, thank you. I can't wait for you to read the rest.
Yeah, I'd like to. Yeah.
Make sure when you ship, you use media mail too. Save a few bucks.
I will. And so there's going to be, I think on indieplanet.com, I'm going to post Freedom Edge so people can buy it and they can pay for shipping to themselves.
Yeah.
That's my plan so far.
Also, look into Global Comics to do it digitally.
Highly recommend Global Comics.
Okay.
Get an account there, and then you can offer each chapter as its own, like it's, a buck or two or whatever you want to charge per chapter, treat it as like single issues. And it's Global Comics with an X at the end.
That's so weird. That's exactly how I wrote it down.
Is it really? Nice.
Yeah, it is.
It's a cool site, and they've kind of taken over as the digital comics leader of the world, I would say,
They are definitely at the forefront for digital comics, and they're
really
empowering all the creators too.
I'm very naive in this world right now. As I said, I only just started getting into comics again by sitting on my couch for physical therapy, repackaging my father's old comics from the 60s and 70s.
Oh, wow.
That's where I walked into his and hers comic book store with a bag saying, is this worth anything? And there was a few items in there that were worth quite a bit, come to find out. Like, was it Avengers King the Conqueror?
Oh, yeah, the
first parents?
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
That's great.
I have Sergeant Fury appearance of Captain America. I think it's Sergeant Fury number 13. So my dad had all of these really expensive comics that I've kept over the years. Mm-hmm. And then by repackaging them, I went to the comic book store. It got brought up. I made a comic once upon a time. And then they introduced me to Lunch Money Mike Comics.
Okay.
And then he introduced me to Keith. And here I am, like a month later. And I only just started.
Isn't that funny how it all kind of works in a row? And I just met Mike for the first time was it October when Athol was, Johnny? Athol?
Yeah, because I was in New York for New York.
Yeah,
Comic.
so I just met Mike in October, and
he
was such a nice dude. I had never heard of his channel, and we talked for a few minutes, and then he mentioned us and he mentioned my comic, and it was awesome. So I got like probably about 20 subscribers just from him, which was awesome.
He's one of the most genuine,
such a nice guy.
Oh my God.
I hope to see him in other shows now,
Oh my God, Keith, like 10 minutes ago, you said you were trying to wrap up. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
No,
well, that's what happens,
Glad we went longer.
Yeah, we actually do. We sometimes you get in a tangent and it just keeps going, So
like I said, I feel like we can go longer, and we did.
I know it's 1:52 now, which is crazy. So
We can go even
anything
longer.
else you want to mention, Ben? Why, the Instagram, we got your website, we played the video. Anything else that you want to?
People can reach out to me either medically, psychologically, or if they have questions about my book. A lot of people reach out to me not about the book itself, but how the hell did you write 400 pages in your spare time? Like,
Yeah, it's crazy, dude.
so people
It's
ask
good
me
though.
about,
It's awesome. I mean, I commend you.
it's like, how do you knuckle down and just do the work instead of
Yeah.
like most people stay in the idea stages?
Yep.
Like, how do you just sit down and commit to something like that? So a lot of people can reach out to me through my Instagram, DM me. I'm happy to. That's what I do for a living, is advise, and I haven't been able to do it for a couple of years now. So anything that I can offer to your subscribers, your viewers, people can reach out to me. I'm not putting on a front. Mike calls me the most obnoxiously
Thank you.
nice guy I've ever met.
Thanks. Double flyer.
Yeah, and I'm going to share your Instagram again in case people want to follow you here. And Johnny, Harry, anything else that you guys got going on in your neck of the woods before we start wrapping this thing up?
I'm just doing my freelance, drawings, for here and there, and unlike Johnny, I'm gonna try and take it easy this year. So I'm not gonna take. I need
You're not
to
going to
learn.
amp it up.
I need to learn how to say no to people, and not do it as much because, I'm getting older too. So
I hear you, man. I want to slow down, but I can't. I'm like on this path,
Yeah, I mean, I
Johnny
enjoy
knows,
drawing
Johnny knows.
much like Ben. I enjoy drawing. I love it. It's so I'll do things within reason, but I'm not gonna extend myself too much this year. I gotta take it easy. I gotta enjoy freedom a little bit.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. How about you, Johnny? Anything you want to shout out? Anything?
Yeah, so I already spoke a lot about my intentions and my creative process and all that stuff. And like I said, all I really aim to do is just to be a little bit more calculated in my storytelling. Not that I wasn't before, but I wanted to take extra care in the work that I do going forward. So that's kind of one of my goals for this year. And
Nice.
that might mean that my work comes out a little bit fewer in between, but I feel like the effort I put into the work that I'm going to do is going to be substantial. To that point, enough talking about me. What I wanted to actually do is just take a minute to thank Ben. Thank you, Ben, for coming on the show, taking time out of your evening, sharing your story with us, sharing your work with us. And I really, you're inspirational. The fact that you got to tell the story that you wanted to tell is awesomely inspirational, and I look up to that because I still have the story that I want to tell that I've yet to tell. So I definitely commend you for that and look up to you for that in that regard. And I just want to thank you again for coming on.
You'll get there, Johnny. No, it was truly a gift to be on your show tonight. Thank you guys so much.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
definitely, Ben. Thanks for being with us. And we're back on our normal schedule going forward.
Bi-weekly.
I don't see us. Yes, I don't see us doubling up anytime
bi-weekly.
soon.
Not that I didn't like seeing all those people and doing all those extra shows, but man, the weekly schedule was like hitting it hard.
Time. And I think we do have a couple double ups coming, but it's not till the end of the month and then into February. Because we also one of the shows I wanted to mention, we have Javin Morris coming on, which is the guy I think I was telling you, Johnny, about him, but I haven't told Harry. But this guy wants us to kind of review his Kickstarter.
Oh, cool.
So I was actually going to invite Tony James on too, I think, for that week and see.
That would be great. Yeah,
because he has
great to have Tony on
with crowdfunding as well. And we were just going to critique his crowdfunder and give him pointers on what to do. And
would it be live or is this pre-launch? I
think it's a pre-launch. So I told him to come on a few weeks, so in case he wants to make changes after talking to
tweaks,
us, so
things and stuff. Yeah,
I thought that would be a good episode for everybody to kind of see, and and us basically finding out, try to make him the most successful he can be. So
for sure.
But all right, everybody, we're gonna wrap this one up. We'll be back. in another week or 2 weeks.
A fortnight. A fortnight.
What's that?
A
Fortnite, yeah. So have a great week. We'll talk to you later and read some comics. Good night,
Yep.
everybody.
Have a good night.
Be excellent one.